All right, so we have begun the very first stages of work on this here. Started building the book. I found a few different versions of the user's manual, and I printed out the one that was the best scan that I could find. A couple of them had like ripped pages and basically weren't complete, so this is the one that I decided to go with. I also found some documentation on needles and which ones make good replacements. All of this courtesy of the Wheeler and Wilson Facebook group online, which is really great. So I still need to come up with a cover for this, but we will get there. So book is happening. We'll talk about this here. Let me recenter you just a second. Okay, so got a little bit of a better perspective for you now. So first thing I see here is right here. We don't have a needle, but we also do not appear to have a needle clamp either. So I ordered a piece that hopefully will work for this. I believe the piece that I ordered is technically for a D9, which is essentially like the slightly later version of this same machine. So I'm really hoping that that will fit here. It'll actually come with another plate and a different foot too, so I'll have those things to try, which will be fun. I don't see any other really glaring issues with this aside from that. 'Cause, like, they're dirty, but the tension discs are here. I was wondering if there was supposed to be anything on this back side, but I don't think so. I thought this was missing a part, but at first, I think I commented on it in my last video. I think it is not missing a part. I was so used to seeing, you know, the wider with the cam bobbin winders, like the one that's on my 27, right? But this thing does not take long bobbins, which I knew even then. I don't know what I was thinking really. So there is also a bobbin under here, which I'm going to have to figure out how to remove. I am a little worried about trying to force any of this to do anything at this particular point. So my idea here is to start with cleaning it, to get oil on it, and then perhaps, like, I think this plate should slide, probably. Maybe it'll slide easier after it's been soaked in oil for a little bit, you know? I also kind of want to see how much I can uncover visually with this too, right? Like, see how much of those decals kind of come back out and stuff once this thing is a little bit, you know, less dusty and less yucky. So what I got is sewing machine oil. This is the same stuff that I used on my other machines to clean them and oil them. I know I said this before, at least in one of my videos, probably a while ago now, but sewing machine oil is particularly, I know for a fact that the Singer one is for sure. It is safe to use on machines for both cleaning and actual oiling. That includes the fact that it won't damage the decals. So like that would be such, you know, like the biggest shame, right? Like maybe this one doesn't have, oh look, it's already coming off. This one perhaps does not have the best decals in the entire world, right? It's not, it doesn't even have the best decals of the machines that I own. That would probably be my 66, has the prettiest, most complete looking decals. That's fine. That's not a deal breaker for me, obviously. But whatever is there on any particular machine one might discuss, you don't want to get rid of any, like damage it any further, even if it's a little difficult to see like this one, right? I don't want to make it worse. So this is the way to go. It may need a little more patience than stronger chemicals and all that sort of thing, but this is a safe way to do it. So look at that, all of that stuff coming off. I'm thinking that I'm hoping I can maybe remove some of these other parts. Like I plan on eventually taking the tension discs off and, you know, clean them. This looks like it has the little spool cage, has a screw right there. I'm wondering if I can remove that. Goodness. But yeah, like to try and actually like say clean these things a little bit more easily. This is also sewing machine oil that I literally just took from that bottle, but I wanted the precision tip. And I am kind of what you would consider to be over oiling some of these locations, because I know for a fact that this thing has not had oil in a very, very long time. Like probably within my lifetime at the very least. So the idea here is we're going to clean and hopefully kind of get it to loosen up a little bit. And you know what? This isn't going to be the first cleaning I do either, right? Like we are definitely going to have to do this in stages. And this machine has a whole lot more rust than my other machines did. When I chose my other machines, that was one of the, dare I say, deal breakers was, you know, like if it was rusty, then I wasn't sure how I would tackle that. Now I'm going to have to figure out what to do. I am also likewise a little bit concerned with the idea that if whether or not the part that I bought for this is actually going to work or not. It'll be here in a few weeks and we will find out. But if it doesn't work, then what am I going to do, right? So I can just kind of keep doing the same thing, which is I found a part on eBay that looked like it was labeled for exactly what I needed, right? A needle clamp with the screw on it. And, which is, you know, great. I'm like, that sounds like exactly the thing that I'm looking for. But if for some weird reason that ends up being not the right thing, because, you know, like it did say D9, not just Wheeler and Wilson 9, right? So it might not work. And I could just kind of keep trying, right? Keep buying things off of eBay until eventually, hopefully, I will have kind of accidentally bought the right thing and it fits and things start coming together. Rather not do that. I think that's going to be a little expensive. You know, one of the reasons why I've stuck with Singers for my machines up until this point, this is one of the really big reasons for me, was because they were so prolific in their making of machines that, you know, they're pretty common, right? even now, you can get machines, or not machines, pardon me, parts. You can get parts for Singer machines fairly easily, even original parts. But even when you can't necessarily get an original part, you can even find reproductions. So, for example, hand cranks for Singer machines, original hand cranks, those are actually kind of expensive. I mean, depending on, you know, how badly you want it, you know, somewhere in the $150 range can, you know, can be okay if you have like an amazing conditioned machine, you know, and you want all original parts and all that kind of thing. You know, go ahead, it might be worth it. It's not that bad, I suppose, but it's kind of expensive compared to everything else that one, you know, the price of most other things for those kinds of machines, right? For the most part, there's parts to be found fairly easily and at a fairly decent price. These machines, you know, other brands of machines that weren't quite so prolific, this brand, Wheeler and Wilson, being one of them, you know, there just aren't as many parts out and about, out and around to be found. I would absolutely be interested in the possibility of a donor machine for extra parts if I could source one. Who knows if I will ever find that. I know there's one over in Eastern Washington, but being as how I don't drive, that is not really a choice. At least not right now. So there's a big old oiling port back here. There. Yeah, I would potentially be interested in a donor machine to have extra parts for this. In addition, you know, the table itself is not in great condition, right? That would also be a thing that I would consider replacing. Because I don't know how possible it is to have the table like refinished. Like, I know nothing about woodworking. It is not at all my forte. So I think if that were to happen, I would have to pay somebody to do it, which I'm not opposed to doing. But I'm, you know, it's missing pieces. The veneer is pretty bad. This is meant to have a coffin cover, and that doesn't exist. And we're even missing that drawer down there. So I'm like, The one thing I would like, though, is if I were to put it into a different cabinet, I would really like for it to be a Wheeler and Wilson cabinet. One that this machine could actually have been bought with, you know, contemporaneous this machine. I would very much like that. Ironically, I do have another treadle cabinet top, just the top part. That doesn't have a machine in it. It's the one that my 66 came out of. It has its own problems. Like, first of all, someone had taken the legs off of that treadle machine. I don't know why. It makes no sense to me. But they'd taken the legs off of it and left the beautiful machine inside of it, and then didn't, you know, left the beautiful machine inside the top of it, right? And didn't take the top. And the top again is damaged, so I can kind of understand not wanting to deal with the top, but like, why the legs? Why? I don't understand it. You left a beautiful machine in it. Makes no sense. At least not to me. But yeah, so when I found that machine, you know, that 66, I got a good deal on it, but part of the deal was that I also had to take the top of, you know, that the treadle table top along with the machine. And I still had, you know, sitting in my garage because I don't know what to do with it. I took the machine out of the top because it didn't have any legs, right? And I put a hand crank on it, and you know, put it in a tabletop base and put a hand crank on it. And so, you know, it's working. It works that way instead now, which is great. But now I have like a treadle tabletop that I have nothing to do with it because it has no legs and no machine. And I was thinking to myself, you know, like, I wonder if that would be easier or cheaper to refurbish than would redoing this top. Because at least that one, you know, it's got all of its drawers on it. The drawers on that one I tried did not fit with this cabinet. Because I thought maybe if I'm really, really lucky, I could just swap out the drawers into this cabinet, and then I would have, you know, a cabinet that's still a little bit damaged, but it would be overall in better shape than either one of these on their own. Yeah, didn't work. I was annoyed. Tried, did not work. Let's see. So, but anyway, I would consider replacing the cabinet on this if I could find one that is a Wheeler and Wilson, you know, that is around the same time, it's around the same age as this machine. And I think I could be okay with that, you know, if it were complete and all that jazz. But sourcing one of those two would be very, very difficult. So talking about cleaning in this method, the sewing machine oil, obviously you can see here, right? It works to bring up grime, right? Thing is it's gonna work really slow. Like, this is not a fast process. So it's like, I'll cover an area in oil and I'll kind of wipe it off. I'll let it sit and I'll kind of wash, rinse, repeat that and work on it over time, because, you know, the new oil will saturate all the yuck that's on the machine and then make it easier to lift off. But I have to kind of give it time to let it do that. So you're not going to see this machine all bright and beautiful in this video, but it will be better than it was. I'm going to take a peek at your point of view and see if you can see how the front's coming along. There, hopefully you can see it a little bit better. So you can start to see the decals starting to come out a little bit. Yeah, a lot of this is pretty rusty. This is definitely in worse condition than my other machines. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to deal with that. I'm thinking I can probably lightly sand this to get some of that stuff off. I'm not gonna take sandpaper to anything with the lacquer or the decals though. So I think a fair amount of this, what can't be taken off and worked on, may just kind of stay as it is. Yeah. Oh, I was also thinking, you know, depending on how hard it is to get parts for this machine, if I seem to really, really struggle with it, I know that there's a shop nearby here that does actually service antiques. So that is a good thing, right? And I'm wondering whether or not they have sources that I don't know about to source parts for antiques. They do say that they service antiques, so one would think that they have sources. Let's see if this will come open yet. probably going to have to get some tools to open that. Yeah. It does feel like it's actually loosening up a little bit. So we don't have a treadle wheel or a treadle belt in this right now. That is another part that I will have to source. And it doesn't want to tip all the way back. I am a little bit wondering if that has to do with just it being old and needing oiling, or if the hinges are just, you know, I wonder if the hinges are not meant to. And now I'm cracking the veneer back here. So I oiled the hinges just a little bit. I might actually need to, I think I'm going to take this up. Give me a second. Okay, so to get to the underside of this, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tip it up, lift it out, and put it on this tray that is under that. All right, we got a little bit of oil having come down from the oiling points. I'm not mad at that. Okay, so now we can get to the underside of this machine. It's yucky. Look at that, huh? All right. Ugh. So it's good that the oil is coming all the way through. And even if it means it's dripping on the bottom a little bit, sure that can't do any more damage than this thing has already done over the years. Maybe I can open up the jacket here and remove the bobbin. Let's see, can I? Because there is a bobbin in there. I can see it. I don't know how to remove it. Here, let's look in the user manual, shall we? Like I thought it was going to be kind of obvious, you know, like easy to figure out. Is not. And, you know, one of the things my mom always said about, well, a myriad of different things was don't force it. You force it and you're going to break it. Doesn't matter what it exactly is, whether it be like a handle or, you know, a toy that you're trying to pry open or whatever it is. Don't force it, you're going to break it. And I'm not really willing to put a whole lot of strength into this right now for, you know, for fear of accidentally damaging something, like bending something out of shape. You know, like these machines are made of, you know, cast iron and steel. So it would probably actually take like all my strength to actually break something. But the possibility of my bending something out of shape, I feel like that is definitely a possibility. Okay, to wind the bobbin, turn the large plated knob of the hand wheel to, okay, to loosen the driving pulley. Swing the spooler until its pulley comes in contact with the belt. And that's the spooler there, okay. So after winding the bobbin, tighten the driving pulley securely. Turn the plated knob over from you. Bobbin and bobbin case. To arrange the bobbin case, place the bobbin within the case so that the thread will draw in the direction indicated in the above cut. Press the catch spring B, so that's that, from you and turn back the drop A. Where's A? Of the bobbin holder. I guess I can't see a label, but I'm guessing it's that circular part. Okay. One more time. Press the catch springs. That is definitely B. That's the catch spring. From you and turn back the drop A of the bobbin holder. Right. So it says press the catch spring from you. Does that mean press it out or press it in? Because I can see the catch spring here and it does move. Oh, there we go. Yep, it means move it away. Now we can take the bobbin out. I am pretty sure that this plate is meant to move, but it is kind of stuck. Okay, there we go. So there's our bobbin and our bobbin case. That's cool. So the bobbin case does, while being dusty, looks like it's in pretty good condition, and I definitely felt that it's got tension. Like I pulled the bobbin and it broke the thread because the tension was still on it. But that's pretty cool, right? I have a whole one bobbin for this machine. Okay, but the good thing is that now I can kind of clean in here a bit more effectively. The inside of the bobbin case looks nice too. Like I see minimal rust in there. And I can oil this. Let's see, oh, you know, I did see a bit in the manual about oiling points. Let's see if we can find that again. Let's see, I mean, the general rule here is oiling points, yeah, there we go, are anywhere where you see metal moving against metal, and especially right now, whereas, you know, this thing has not been oiled for decades and decades and decades, so I guess it probably wouldn't even be the worst idea if I just straight up oiled the entirety, dip the whole thing in oil. Let's see. Okay, so let's see if we can follow that. There's one here and here and in here. Guessing there. There's a small bit there. The other thing too is if I can move the hand wheel a little, I can also then see what moves underneath. Okay, let's oil here and through here. It says that there's an actual oiling point somewhere here. Is that it? That is it. Look at that. Okay. This is one of the reasons why I love printing out the user manuals. Like, you know, having an original like I do for my 27 is really great and all. Like that's fantastic, but like I put that in plastic and am not using it as the primary manual for that machine. I'm using a printed copy. That way, you know, I don't damage the original because it's, you know, old. And I'm gonna prefer it for this too, easily. because like I can have my manual right here and use it, and if it gets all yucky, I can reprint it later and not have to worry too much about being protective of my computer printed copy, right? So we are okay with that. Let's see, I'm gonna oil this hinge a little bit. By the way, so this piece here, this, and then you can see it comes up through onto the top. That I believe is the stitch length regulator. And this is supposed to move. Tidy lefty loosey, hopefully. It's nice to know that there's a thing down here. I might have to take a screwdriver to loosen that just a little bit in order to get it to move again. All right, what else? There's another port over here, according to the manual. I can't really see very well because that sun's so bright. Let me get some light on the subject. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's sort of wiggle that a little bit. Yeah, we're already getting a little bit of improvement in how it feels, which, you know, is of course the goal. This is definitely one of those first things that I like to do for machines on sort of like list of things number one, you know. Okay. Make sure that we kind of catch up on what should have been regular maintenance for a long time, but obviously wasn't. And then kind of see where we are after that. And you know what? Good thing is too is that the sewing machine oil is not all that terribly expensive. So that is a good thing. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually lift it and turn it and get to the back side. I don't think you guys have seen the back side of this yet either, really, have you? So this back side was the one that was facing my grandmother's window for quite a long time. And yeah, like that this machine was sitting in the spot that it was in since before I was born. So yeah. I know that it's not the best case that these machines sit where they will get sun, and I wish I had a better spot for this machine, but I don't right now. So right here is where it's going to have to stay for the time being, and until I can find a better spot in the house for it. So we will work on that, but I think it will be a while before I can place it somewhere else. All right, let's look at the oiling points on the back, if there are any. Does it show me any? It says go into the top, this plate here, but I can't really get to that yet. But at least while I have it out and upside down, I can clean it a little bit back here. The decals are almost completely gone on this side. I suppose it's probably due to it, you know, sitting in the sun. Let's see here. Wonder how hard it is to get the nose of this thing off. Let's find out. Ooh, it twists. Come on. Let's see, is there another one or does it go? It goes. All right, that's not so bad, right? Ooh, look at that. Oh, there was definitely some stuff living in here at some point. I'm just gonna point out that this wasn't in like a garage or something. This was in my Nana's drawing room. So like the fact that it still apparently collected bugs at some point, like I don't know what that is. Is that plant parts? I don't know. Things that I'm probably allergic to no matter how you slice it. Ugh. Grossness. Come to be in such rough condition from sitting in a house for as long as it was. Where's the other one? Okay. So this is the needle bar. This is take up lever. This would be the presser foot, except for it's actually not moving at all. That's concerning. Is there something in here that should have made it move? Not that I'm really seeing. Yeah, so this is definitely going to take some work to figure out what all sorts of gremlins is happening here. It's all the way down too. It's got the foot that I ordered with the needle clamp and stuff is different looking than this one. So I am curious to find out if maybe I have an incorrect foot on here or just a different one. So we'll investigate that when that order comes in. I think I'm going to give it a little bit here. See if I can't coax that to move in time. Oh, go. Yeah, so there, you can actually get a little bit of a closer look at the, where the bobbin goes here. So this needed to come out and then this can come back, is how that needed to go. I am gonna give this one more really good oiling because this is supposed to move when this moves. So we're gonna gonna see if giving it some oil and letting it soak will be enough to allow me to make an adjustment for this. The needle bar moves, which is great. Let me try and get this big wheel back here too. You can barely see it. So you can see how this moves in a full circle. So that is the definition of what it means to be a rotary machine. An oscillating machine means I'm gonna affect this with the hand wheel, means that it goes one way and then it goes back and it goes back and forth that way. Some machines do work that way. This one is not. And of course there's the vibrating shell machines like the 27, which, you know, are a completely different mechanism. But Wheeler and Wilson had this bobbin mechanism this way. And my understanding is that that is what got Singer to buy them out. And so Wheeler and Wilson essentially, you know, is one of the earliest adopters of this style of bobbin situation instead of, you know, this round bobbins rather than the long bobbins. That really became the standard over time. Like, this looks and functions like you would expect a sewing machine in general to function, which is kind of cool. There is I guess is what Singer did after they bought out Wheeler and Wilson, is there was still a little bit of manufacturing happening of these machines. So a Singer W9 is actually a Wheeler and Wilson D9 that was just labeled as Singer right after, because it was right after the buyout, which does give me another name that I can possibly look for parts under. But I think the ones labeled Singer W9s are probably even more rare. So I mean, that's almost, I guess you could call it transitional, right? Okay, so since I poured a whole bunch of oil on this, I think this is where I'm going to stop for today. And I'm just gonna let this sit before I put it back into the table and let it just be on this here towel. All right, but thank you very much for joining me. And you know what? We will work on this together and we will figure this out. Thanks so much. Bye.